Welcome back to another Bricks episode. My name is Peter Breen, your founder and host of the Rugby Bricks podcast. Today's Brick episode is for you goal kickers, the players that I love the most. The reason why I started Rugby Bricks was to build a kicking tea company and look after goal kickers. Today's brick is for you, and we're discussing my 10 pillars of goal kicking and some of the misunderstandings or different pushbacks that I've heard around the 10 pillars of goal kicking. If you're a goal kicker, or you know a goal kicker, or you coach a goal kicker, what a mouthful, send this episode on to them, because the whole idea of the 10 pillars is to give you more confidence when you're putting the ball on your tee, when you're thinking about your process and your technique. So this just gives you that self-confidence, which is a big part of the mission of Rugby Bricks, to know that whatever you're doing, it's organised, it's ready, it's tested, and you know exactly who and what type of goal kicker you are, which is going to lead to more confidence, which leads to more goals going through the sticks. To understand the 10 pillars of goal kicking, I think it's important to understand what the 10 pillars isn't. The 10 pillars is not a technique. It's not a strict set of rules saying you must do this to kick a ball off a kicking tee. So I reckon there's 3 different styles of technique. There's the hop technique, which is a guy like Handré Pollard or Owen Farrell. Most goal kickers, about 70 to 80% of goal kickers, all use the hop technique inside of rugby. It's the trend, it's the culture that we've seen throughout the years. The other style of technique is the foot down. The main 2 guys I can think of with that, Johnny Sexton. Dave Allred from the UK was a big fan of the foot down technique, but it's not that common with goal kickers. And the third one is the hurdle style technique. If you watch a game of American football, the kickoff, where they're trying to get that big power and energy and just the biggest max kick that you can get, Geordie Barrett actually does a hurdle style technique. There's the hurdle style. Now, the 10 pillars of goal kicking is not a way of telling you how to kick the ball. It doesn't even talk about which one of those 3 you should be using. It's just a set of questions. The 10 pillars is also not complicated. Here's a question for you that I think is very warranted and a simple question. How do you set the ball up on the tee? That is ball setup. That is pillar number 2, ball setup. That's the question that I ask kickers. How do you set the ball up on the tee? Why do you set it up like that? What do you do with the ball valve? What are you doing with your seams? What's the angle of the ball sitting on? And that set of questions, and the reason why ball setup is so important, is I need you to understand what tee you're using, why you set the ball up the way that you do, what you've played around with, what you do with the ball valve, what you do if the valve isn't on the seam and it's actually on one of the panels of the ball. All those questions with ball setup, just so that you're like, yep, this is how I do it, this is why I do it, I've tested it, I love how I do it, and it gives me confidence every time I set the ball up like this. One thing that I've noticed, that in the sport of rugby, we're actually a very young sport. If you think about older sports like cricket, basketball, they've been professional for so much longer than we have. In rugby, we've got this tendency to, I don't know if I just feel this, to go, just let the boys play, let the girls play, just let them play. You're making things too complicated. Yet in, say, like a sport like golf, where there's the handicap system, we know that if you need to shoot lower scores, you've got to work on your putting, your chipping game, your long irons, your short irons, your driving, and then there's a whole heap of different techniques and adjustments and feels and cues for you to shoot a lower score to get a lower handicap. And we respect it. We're like, man, we all play golf, and you go around and you raise the bat, and then you're like, yeah, I need to work on my game, and this is how I'm going to do it. And then you lean into all the complexities of trying to figure out a golf swing and improve your game and improve your handicap. We're happy to do that in golf. In sports like basketball, which was my main sport growing up, there's skill camps, there's shooting clinics, there's defensive slide drills, learning how to set screens. The detail is in the game of basketball because of how professional it's been. Think of any combat sports like boxing or jiu-jitsu. You spend your whole life and whole career spending 10 years going through the grades, learning different techniques and getting different belts. Like, we understand the grind and the journey that someone has to go on to enter into that sport. Whereas in rugby, we're so quick just to go, just let them play. Don't make it too complicated. Just let them play. So with all that said, now we're going to jump into the 10 pillars, and what are the 10 pillars, and you can use them starting right now to help boost your confidence with your goal kicking. Pillar number 1 is mindset. What is your mindset pre-kick? How do you get yourself into a state that you're ready to take a kick, and you don't just want to get the kick over and done with and get the hell out of this pressure situation with the sideline talking to you and pressure and points and scoreboard? You actually can calm yourself down and execute the kicks. What is anything that you do? Taking a deep breath, finding someone in the crowd and just acknowledging I'm grounded, I'm present, I'm here, and then starting your process. Just a little thing that helps you get into the mindset of taking a kick. We've already discussed pillar number 2, which is ball setup. How do you set the ball up on your tee? Seams, valve, target, angles, the kicking tee that you use. Why do you do it that way? And have you experimented to make you a more consistent kicker? How do you set the ball up on your tee? Pillar number 3 is your target. What do you aim for? Why do you aim there? Have you thought about this? Have you tried doing this because of your ball flight? What's your target? Let's discuss it. Pillar number 4, and the one that I think that we can make really consistent. This one, spending time on this really helps you develop consistency, and it's your approach. Remember Dan Carter, that little sidestep, the Johnny Wilkinson, the foot shuffle, the position, the Quade Cooper. There's different ways to approach the ball. And if we can nail our step backs or whatever starting position you get yourself into, whatever angle you're in, your body, your feet, your first step, the energy towards the ball, everything that goes into that approach is where a lot of consistency can be gained. So the question I would ask you is, what is your approach? Pillar number 5 is rodeo arm. I actually came up with the term rodeo arm about 5-6 years ago. The first video I ever did was speaking about it and how we've got this left arm for a right foot kicker that acts a little bit like a cowboy or cowgirl on the back of a ball for balance. We use the same thing for rodeo arm. The reason that it's important is it does help us with balance pre-kick. It actually can help with energy and power and gaining a little bit more distance. But are you aware of what your rodeo arm is doing pre-kick, and how do you use your rodeo arm? A lot of junior kickers that I see, their rodeo arm is literally down low, not doing anything. And the question is, how can I kick the ball further? Well, if you just add a little bit that upper body strength and get those obliques and those slings happening, that can add energy and power to your ball and give you more distance. Pillar number 6 and 7 are pretty quick and pretty simple: plant foot and kicking foot. How does your plant foot land? Where does it land? What angle is it on? Have you played around with different tees and different landing spots and spacing? Plant foot's really important, but I think if you nail your approach, which is pillar 4, that can get your plant foot really consistent. And then pillar number 7 is your kicking foot. So what position do you get your foot into based on your kicking tee? What are some of the things you need to think about different foot positions because of your kicking foot? What part of your foot do you want to kick with the ball and make impact with? And then also post impact, what is your kicking foot doing? This is where those 3 styles of technique is: the hop technique, the foot down technique, or the hurdle style technique. What thought are you putting through your foot? Are you trying to touch the crossbar with your toes and really getting that foot hard and extended through the target? Just tell me what your kicking foot is doing during the kick. We can also have a look in your backswing, like what path is your kicking foot taking? Is it really big and extended? Do you have a short, snappy kicking foot so you're not building much of a backswing? Just by tracking that kicking foot, we can actually understand a lot about how you kick the ball. Pillar number 8 is the magical, mythical feeling of compression. The best way that I can explain it is that feeling of hitting a golf ball. So when you absolutely flush it, you get your club in the perfect position, your body feels amazing, and you just flush a shot. That's kind of the feeling of compression that we're chasing with the rugby ball. So we've got energy in the right places, our hips are in a really strong position, all the timing in the body and the rodeo arm, kicking foot, strength in the body have all just come together, and it's not effortless. I don't like that word effortless. I like being deliberate and kicking the ball and putting it where I need to be, but we just win that compression. We get that absolutely perfect. The timing's great and it feels magical. So when it comes to compression, one of the big unlocks here is hips. So I'd just ask you about how do your hips feel through impact? Are you sitting on a little bar stool and not really using your hips and being strong like Handré Pollard and Owen Farrell and Geordie Barrett, showing me that really good kicking strength? Damien McKenzie is one of the best guys, long range kicker, but smaller stature. He's got so much hip strength. So we have a look at that in conversation about hips and compression. Pillar number 9 is momentum. What happens after you kick the ball? Like when you're using the vacuum cleaner and the cord falls out of the wall, like does the power just turn off and everything stop? I love to win the half meter of space after the ball. So get your body, kicking foot, stay in the kick, the eyes are still in there, the energy's still on for half a meter post impact with the ball, and you can track that just using your cone. Momentum, what do you think about? How do you get forward? How do you follow through, as everyone talks about in the kick. Pillar number 10 is stay in the kick. How do you stay in the kick? How do you keep your eyes and your energy involved in the kick? How do you win that momentum like I spoke to? But basically it's how do you finish the job? How do you ensure that you aren't checking out of the kick early, or you're not falling off the J, not C shape? All those little things around how do you keep the energy in staying in the kick. So as you can see, the 10 pillars of goal kicking is a set of questions where we just go through and ask you questions about how you do what you do. Your answers do not need to be detailed like an essay. They can be simple, short answers. I have the valve facing forward and on the low side of the ball. I use this kicking tee. I take 4 steps back on the 45 for my approach. My target line is just inside the right upright, and I find something on the ground to look at. I keep my kicking foot hard through impact, and I try to touch the crossbar with my toes. With my rodeo arm, I make sure that I get it big and extended pre-kick and really open up my chest to sort of tell my body where to go, and then post-impact parallel to the ground. I don't want to chop down on the ball and get small and compressed. If you're a goal kicker, I've just given you the 10 pillars of goal kicking. There's the free videos on YouTube, are really good exercises to jot down each of those 10 pillars and just write down some details to see if you understand what's happening in each of those pillars. As I mentioned at the start, if you're a kicker, if you coach a kicker, if you know a kicker, send them this podcast, send them this little brick, because it may really help them get more confidence and more consistency in their kicking game. The last point that I'd like to challenge you on is one comment I often hear as well. I just do this works for me. You're allowed to say that if you're kicking in the high 80s, early 90%. If you're kicking 63%, 72%, just saying, well, this is what works for me, well, it doesn't work for you because you're kicking at 72%. If you want to be a world-class kicker and you pride yourself on goal kicking, let's get you up in those early 90s and become a world-class kicker. Understanding these details is how you're going to get there. Thanks for listening to this brick. I'll see you on the next one.